failing fast is sometimes being able to disagree but commit, but being able to pivot and change your hypothesis, not your values and principles, but your hypothesis, and then innovate along the way. And I think when we started as a product company, the focus was how we build this in early days, right? This was during COVID, just try to survive and get on. Did I have a long-term vision where I wanted to be? Yes. But all I did at that time was focus on the now and keep innovating, because there were so many forces against us at that time, right? Even investors could not see when travel would come back. We all knew it would come back, but 5 years, 3 years, 2 years? The thing about this whole journey for us is like, what assumptions are you willing to compromise on, and what ones are you willing to reduce and, pivot quickly on? And
everyone, to another episode of the Tech Leaders Playbook. Today I have a very special guest, Sarosh Waghmar. Really excited to chat with this gentleman. He's a pioneer in the travel industry, a visionary behind Spotnana, a trailblazing travel as a service platform, which is extremely unique. We hear SaaS, we hear platform as a service. Never have I heard of travel as a service. So I'm really excited. He's got over 2 decades of experience, and he's been at the forefront of revolutionizing travel technology, aiming to enhance the travel experience for modern solutions. Let's dive in. Thank you for being here, Sarosh.
Firstly, thank you for having me and hosting me. Greatly appreciate it. It's amazing to finally get a chance to talk on this platform and in this podcast.
It's awesome, man. Sarosh, let's start with your origin story, right? You didn't wake up one day a successful founder of a travel company. Tell us about the story up to this point and how you started.
Wow. No one gets up saying they're going to be a travel agent. My journey came to the US, went to UT Austin, graduated, and did a bit of technology, did a bit of business, started working in a consulting firm like Deloitte. And I think when you become a consultant, the one thing you do is you travel a lot. And the one thing you become obsessed with is miles, And my obsession was for frequent flyer miles led me down this rabbit hole of how do I travel for free in first class for the rest of my life? And this we're talking about in 1998. And back then, there were no blogs. It was a Yahoo news group called Spotnana that I launched. And with a few hundred, that became a few thousand folks, where you have someone like a points guy, etc., where I would talk about how do you maximize your miles, how do you use your credit cards most effectively, and how do you learn anything and everything about airlines, hotels, cars, and just how do you maximize the value and how do you travel in front of the cabin for free? That was my sole goal in life. It's like, how do I, that one holiday that I'll get to take at the end of the year while consulting, where will I go and how will I travel in front of the cabin? And one thing led to another. And that obsession, while at Deloitte, is something that I carried through. And along the way, started another startup. Then the dot-com bubble burst in 2002. I was jobless and I was homeless. I was looking for a job, and I definitely remember those moments even now very clearly, what it is to have nothing. And I think that experience really shaped me and has kept my feet firmly placed on the ground. Sometimes in life, when you're faced with adversity, opportunities come. How did Spotnana come about from a simple Yahoo news group to what it is today? So then I was looking for a job. I had to stay back in the US and figuring out what to do. I realized I had all this knowledge about travel and about front of the cabin, how to travel in first and business class flatbeds and anything and everything about luxury travel. How did Spotnana come about? Honestly, was I needed to make money, and I figured out how you could travel on the Concorde, which was one of the most coveted planes and cabins in the world, which was a $20,000 ticket from New York to London, 3.5-hour flight.
Wow.
It was around a $20,000 ticket. I figured out how to get it for $868. Basically, the bottom line is I managed to wipe out 48 million miles on British Airways without stepping on the plane once. I didn't do anything illegal, in case you might wonder. I just found out certain systems and loopholes, if I may say so.
Wow.
And That's how Spotnana was born back in the day. British Airways were not happy about it later on. We've obviously talked about it with them too, but that's how Spotnana came about. And one thing led me down the path of understanding how airline pricing works and how do people travel in front of the cabin, etc. And then from that, figured out how to start a company. And then 2004, also I started Spotnana as a first and business class discounted travel agency and as a one-man shop. And over the years, the company name has changed, pivoted, kept on expanding, learning anything and everything about the ecosystem. And Jan of 2020, a little did I realize that 1 month later, what was around the corner, I had a very successful travel management company, which had scaled to around 120, 130 employees worldwide, managing some of the world's largest corporates. Realized that I really want to be focused on building technology for the industry rather than being a service-driven organization using third-party technologies. That's what I came about with the ideas that how do I build product from ground up and rechange the industry? And you might wonder, how does it manifest itself? Now, if I ask you today, which is, do you shop on Amazon? Like, yes, Ruth, shop on Amazon every day. So easy to shop on Amazon. I don't even think twice. And the best part about Amazon is when I need to return a package, walk into a UPS store, throw it across the counter, and they'll beautifully wrap it for me. And by the time I take 10 steps and walk out of the UPS store, I have the credit in the palm of my hand. There's no company in the world that has that kind of e-commerce experience that makes it so comfortable and creates that level of trust.
Of course.
Your Amazon does it across millions of SKUs. That is why it's Amazon, because they've solved for this last mile. On the other hand, if I ask you while shopping on Amazon, before you click on the buy now button, do you ever pause and open another tab on Safari or Chrome or Edge and compare prices with other websites? They're like, no, why would I do that? I just click on Amazon because I trust it. I'm like, okay, fair enough. And now I pause and role play with you another example and say, hey, you and I are about to travel for a show to London 3 weeks from now, and then we need to go to Frankfurt. We need to travel and we need to swap these hotels and we have these meetings. What would you do? What would I do? We'd shop at 10 different places. Why? Because when it comes to travel, each of us believes there's a deal to be had. Why is it that human beings, when it comes to travel, don't trust the price that they see? There's a reason for that. And the reason is even the world's largest travel companies, the infrastructure that they have has been legacy infrastructure that is built back in the 1960s and 70s, which is why you have different prices. Trust and transparency is what we are trying to build. You know, when we say we're building the platform for travel, is we're trying to rebuild this infrastructure. And the whole premise of Spotnana was, how do I provide trust and transparency? And the other big problem is like, you and I buy that business class ticket to go to London and Frankfurt, and tomorrow we are at Frankfurt airport trying to make a change. On the $10,000 ticket that we purchased, we walk up to the counter at Lufthansa and say, sir, ma'am, I'd like to make a change to this ticket. They'll look at you, they'll type something into the kiosk, look back at you, and go, oh, I'm sorry, I can't make a change. And you're like, excuse me, why? Oh, you need to call up your travel agent or your travel agency to do that. And you're like, I don't understand this. This is your plane, your seat, your aircraft, and you're telling me to talk to somebody else. Why is that? The reason is the systems of record that they have versus what you have on your mobile versus who booked it for you. They're all different and disparate systems. They don't talk to each other. This is why servicing sometimes you're waiting for 6 hours to make a date change. Why is this so frustrating? Which is why Spotnana's intention when we started the company is like, I've been doing all of this manually. Imagine I could build a platform that could solve for this. And that is why the whole premise was, how do you build something from ground up that can be available for everybody in the ecosystem to use? How do you build that system of record, system of engagement with this cloud architecture? Because that's what was possible with cloud computing. The costs had come down considerably, and this was the best time to do it. In hindsight, people question because we started the company in January of 2020, and February, we just got funded, and February of 2020, the world went the other way. There was a single industry that was decimated by COVID. Everyone knows it's been hospitality and travel more than anything. And the biggest challenge at that time was just stay focused. You can only control product and control the outcome of what you build. You can't control customers. You can't control anything else. And, one of the things and sayings that I have at Spotnana, as you always say, is travel is a human emotion. You see it, I see it. You see how travelers come back. You can't stop us from traveling. Whether it's personal, whether it's for business, at the end of the day, it connects us all and has made the world smaller. So, in hindsight, 2020, we're glad we stuck to it, pursued it. It was not easy. I'll be lying if I said it was easy, but that's the part of growing businesses, right? How do you stay true to your course and true to your mission? And this is why we decided the goal for Spotnana is how do we build this platform that everybody else could use as well.
Sarosh, who would use the platform? Would it be the airlines? Would it be me as a consumer? Would it be the travel agencies? What is the kind of intersection between those three?
Sure. So, the way we build the platform is not just the booking tool where, you click and book as an end traveler, but it's corporations, the business travelers, the corporations that deploy this and book this to book their employees worldwide. Then it's the travel management companies, agencies that can use this software to scale their businesses. And the one thing we've said is we are an open platform where we provide our APIs. So tomorrow you can embed this. So a bank or a loyalty company or a credit card company, how we say embed fintech, you can embed travel, how we've done this with Stripe or how we've done this with Shopify. We've made the platform with this API first approach available so anybody could use it and consume it and become a travel company overnight.
Great.
Travel, unfortunately, has been one of those industries that's been very closed and opaque. Our whole premise was like, someone's got to clean the gutter. And that's what we decided to do. And it's like, we make this open for everybody, which is why from day one, we wanted to say, listen, we have no interest in being the world's largest travel agency. That's not what we're competing for. We're trying to build this platform so anybody can build on top of you and create more value. And truly, you can only call yourself a platform is when other people are building on top of you and making money off you. Otherwise, you have no reason and right to call yourself a platform.
So you've created almost a marketplace for consumers like myself and travel companies to potentially buy and sell. Does that sound about right?
Marketplace, not yet. I think we have still a lot of work to do around that, from a product company to become platform and then finally become a marketplace is where we would like to go.
Got it.
If that works, definitely you hit the nail on the head. That would be the ultimate because very few companies have had that kind of intersection, if I may say so.
Great.
Becoming a platform company is hard. I won't say that it's easy, but I think we have the makings of it, but we still have a long way to go. Our whole premise is we are offering this platform to corporations or to suppliers or to end users who can use this internally and scale their businesses, or technology companies or channel partners, like we would like to call them, that can enable a fintech offering in the same manner they can offer a travel as a service platform inside their own.
Tell me a little bit about this concept, travel as a service. It's the first time I've heard of it. Is it a new category you're trying to create, or it's been created and you're trying to build on top of? Tell me a little bit about that.
I think in my early pitches, getting money for the first time, my previous company was extremely profitable, successful, and I've never raised money in the past. So when I started Spotnana, it was the first time I had to raise money. So doing VC pitches, trying to figure out what is the story you're trying to articulate. That is just one of those hard things to get your arms around because it's so complex. It's during that time, understanding how these pitches are done. I was looking at SaaS, software as a service is done, or you called out earlier, platform as a service. Why travel as a service? Because that was the foundation of what we're building. And the reason for that is we built a platform not only for ourselves, we built a platform that others can use. And that is why we're saying we're offering it as a service. When you build APIs for yourself, it's very different when you build APIs for production for anybody else to consume. It's a very different go-to-market motion.
Very different.
And understanding the nuances of that is very critical. And I think why travel as a service, I came up with that concept was, I said, this is what the end goal will be. This is what we want to be. We're trying to define this category. Are people playing in that space some way or the other? You'll always have some form of competition or the other. But for us, it's like, you define the world, what you want to see, and you go build that. And that is what our whole goal was. Like, we wanted to offer travel as a service, which is why I was very intentional. And I keep saying this again and again. I don't want to be the world's largest travel company. I want to be able to power the world's largest travel company with our infrastructure. It's like me saying, you ask Jeff Bezos today, Jeff, what would he have built first? Sold books or built AWS? And the answer would be very different today, but history will tell you they sold books, sold multiple things. Over time, AWS was born for a reason. The first customers, AWS was nobody but Amazon.com.
Of course.
We started this company saying we'll build infrastructure for travel. And Spotnana's first customer was Spotnana, the travel agency, using the infrastructure that Spotnana had built. And that's when we realized that when COVID happened and we saw what was happening in the industry, we realized, imagine we keep this platform open, not only for ourselves, but other partners to use. Imagine the impact it can have and the disruption you can create for the entire industry. How do you make sure that everybody can benefit from this? You don't need to build everything, but if you can build the core components, you can let others to create more innovation on top of it. And really staying focused true to that has been the key for us. And that's how this travel as a service concept came about, is we provide this core platform. Sure. Yes, there are things that are vertically integrated, but then there's enough to build on top of it, like, meetings, conference companies, credit card companies, loyalty companies. There's so much on travel, right?
Sure.
You can build on top of it. We just want to provide that processing layer that you can do all of the innovation here. You create that, but you can use our rails to power.
You productized something that you used internally that worked for you, it sounds like, as your own first customer. Sarosh, you said something really interesting. I really liked it, because when I'm investing, so I'm an investor myself, when I hear a pitch, one of my favorite questions is like, why you, right? Like, why should I believe your story? Why? And it sounds like it was obvious. Why me? Because I've been in the travel business for many, many, many years. Here's the problems we're trying to solve. So I really like that. What did you find was the biggest issue in the travel agency that you had to innovate, right? Because you're big on innovation for all. Why did you decide to build this embeddable cloud-based travel platform and open it up to the world? Because you could have used it to give yourself an advantage as a travel agency, but you saw a bigger play, it sounds like, as a platform. Tell me a little bit about that.
Why the early days when we were building it up, first, let me first start by saying, I still don't know everything. I'm still learning. And I think when you've been entrenched in something for so long, if you don't keep yourself open to learn, you'll not be able to pivot fast. This concept in Valley that Facebook came up with, fail fast.
Yes.
It's so loosely used. You need to understand sometimes the meaning behind it. Failing fast is sometimes being able to disagree but commit, but being able to pivot and change your hypothesis. Not your values and principles, but your hypothesis, and then innovate along the way. And I think when we started as a product company, the focus was, how do we build this in early days, right? This was during COVID, just try to survive and get on. Did I have a long-term vision where I wanted to be? Yes. But all I did at that time was focus on the now and keep innovating, because there were so many forces against us at that time, right? Even investors could not see when travel would come back. We all knew it would come back, but 5 years, 3 years, 2 years? And even when it came back, everyone was like, oh, it will slowly trickle. The world has gone remote. Maybe everyone will not need to come to the office, but we're seeing so many things have changed. What our assumptions were then. The thing about this whole journey for us is what assumptions are you willing to compromise on, and what ones are you willing to be loose and pivot quickly on. And I think for us, when we started off, why this focus on a platform is, we realized during COVID, our entire industry was decimated. I'm talking the travel agency industry. But the funny thing was, all these travel agencies were spending millions of dollars spending on software, because it was an old school industry, right? They were paying software license fees. They're not paying SaaS fees. So now you have millions of dollars committed year on year. The concept of consumption fee doesn't exist in that previously in that industry. Along comes Spotnana and says, listen, there's a consumption-based model like AWS, like Snowflake. Like your utilities only pay for what you use. Suddenly a travel agency is like, wow, I will only pay for it. I said, yes, you will only pay for it when you have a traveler who travels. You make money, then I make money. When your economic incentives are aligned, you will always win.
Of course.
And that is what we realized that during that time, is if we want to have a bigger impact, create this platform, keep it open, giving them the ability to innovate on top of it, create enough value for them that you're reducing their cost of operating. And typically, if you've seen the travel industry, it's been driven by a lot by human capital.
Yeah.
A lot of agencies, a lot of workflows, a lot of manual.
Sure.
Our whole goal is, how do you digitize them? And digitizing them is not for the sake of technology, is how do you actually reduce their cost, bottom line. And that is where Spotnana started playing in. Listen, not only the model was easy to adopt, but I'm going to remove all these other costs of not only software and technology, but I'm going to reduce your cost of overheads and operating on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to make cancellations, refunds, all of that, give that to the user in the palm of their hands. You don't need to call an agent, hey, cancel my ticket. You as a user can do it on your own. No one calls up Uber when your phone is lost. No one calls up Amazon to return a package. Why do we have to do it in travel? Why do you have to wait for so many hours to make a cancellation? Why? And that why is what led us to, we build a platform, focus on building internal tools to scale even a TMC or a travel management company or a travel agency. That's where you create the real value. So tomorrow, whether it's a traveler or the travel agent, if they're doing those tasks, they can do them very quickly without having to throw thousands of bodies at the problem.
Hey, Sarosh, here's a tough question for you. So did you keep both your travel agency and the platform company running at the same time? And I'll explain why I ask.
I mean, right now, we have kept the travel agency running at the same time. And the reason for that is, early days, not many people would want to adopt your technology. So we had to be the travel agency and win some of the world's largest companies to show them that this does work. And the other reason is from a product perspective, right? At the end of the day, I'm still a travel agent.
Yeah.
I know the guts of the business and I know this is what I need to do to make things happen. The internet fails, everything fails. What will I do? How will I get a passenger back home that evening? I know what to do. And those are those founding principles. I said, okay, if I have to do this again, I have to keep that agency business because that helps me with product. It helps me with what the customer is telling me to my agent at that point of time, what is not done. Because then only, if you know your whys in life, you'll be able to build on top of them. And that was fundamentally important to us. And yes, as we continue to evolve as a platform company, those founding principles have been very helpful because that's helped build product and help us scale. Because the scaling is not for you when you go from here to London and come back. It's for everybody else who has to manage your trip behind the scenes. If there's an alert, or if we need to send you something, or if something happens in London, a breakout happens of COVID, how do I get you back immediately? How do I call you, hey, or send you one alert? Here are the flights available tonight. I need to get you back because your company requires you to come back home immediately. How do I do it in seconds without waiting, calling you, leaving voicemails, or any of that?
Sarosh, how does the excitement and the upside of building a platform company to open it up to technically your competitors as a travel agencies match or overcome the risk of potentially jeopardizing your core business? I'm guessing at the time your travel agency is the one paying your bills, right? And you built up a good company. Now you've got a platform that, yes, it will disrupt the industry, which is awesome. If you can productize it properly and win, who cares? But if you don't, now you've opened it up, some of your innovation, your technological innovation, to your direct competitors in the travel agency. How did you do that risk reward kind of comparison and make a decision on where to go?
I think we were very clear from day one, we want to be a technology company and not a service company. That was one. Early when we started, yes, we'd be a TMC, as in a travel agency ourselves. But as we continue to build product, we realized that it's very hard running both businesses. Do I have $1? Do I invest in getting one more agent on the call center? Or do I invest in technology so I can reduce 10 agents, 20 agents for all my other customers? And I think in the first 24 months, the traction that we got as a startup was a little bit unheard of. And we were very fortunate. As I said, several Fortune 500 companies. For a company that has 2 sales reps, it's a little bit unheard of.
Wow.
We're just grateful for that. And I think that convinced us early on that focus on doing the right thing, focus on being a platform, create innovation for everybody in the industry. If you carry people, people will carry you. And for that is one of the things we realized that, yes, we've started up as a TMC. We might compete with the people who we are powering, but we made it very clear to our partners, listen, I'm only doing this so I can build for you. I have to learn. You are still implementing, you are still learning. But when I'm doing it for myself day to day and dealing with these problems and the feedback, etc., I can build better for you. So all our partners are aware of this, and they know that our long-term goal is to be the platform. That's why we keep saying success to me will look like when we'll be able to own the tagline, Spotnana, the platform that connects humanity. And we have a long, long way to go to something.
How does Spotnana leverage AI and cloud technologies to enhance travel experience for both obviously providers and consumers?
When AI came out, there was such a big buzz on travel, right? And if you think of AI and travel, the first thing people think about is, hey, ChatGPT, I'm right now in San Francisco. I want to go to someplace in the northern hemisphere that is 80 degrees and it's only 12 hours away. Everyone's focused on the AI piece on predicting and itinerary planning. That's where a lot of the innovation of AI, etc., has been happening, especially at the intersection of travel. Our take on this, excuse me, is a little bit different, where our focus is on how do I improve the experience on service and support? Because right now our use case has been business travelers. Business travelers need a lot of things on the road, from your invoices or checking out of the hotel or your boarding passes or making sure the seats are done correctly, etc. How do you make sure that all of that is done? How do I improve the efficiency of the service levels? So I have a companion with me throughout my journey should something happen. Hey, I'm at the hotel, they're not accepting my credit card or the form of payment was rejected at 2 a.m. How are we going to respond and get that sorted out? Or how do I make sure that, sometimes you read rules on a ticket, it says non-refundable, but it says refundable, but it says Saturday night stay. A lot of the data that is being processed or thrown at you from these legacy systems is not very clear and articulate. We're looking at cleaning up all of this and creating these LLM models that can support this. Now, our whole focus is how do I improve your user journey at the end of the day? How do you have a more pleasurable experience? And pleasurable experience, as I said, our first use case has been around business travelers. Business travelers typically know where they're going. They're not looking at us to predict where they need to have a business meeting. They already know that. So for us is how do I provide the support without you having to call the 800 number, without having to wait for somebody? How do I have basically a travel agent in the palm of your hand? Yeah, I need to make a change. Or intelligently telling you, hey, you're going to run late, you're going to miss this flight, or this incoming flight is already delayed. Here are the 3 other options available to get you back home. Should I make this change for you? Me telling you it's going to be delayed, I'm like, okay, tell me what's next. Why are you not being proactive? Me being proactive and telling you your options so you can click on it, just book this, end of discussion.
I would love that.
That is what I'm saying. We are trying to focus on solving those hard problems. And you can only solve those hard problems is when you build a system of record and do this from ground up. And this is what we're focused on. And so when I build that data record and it originates from us, I'm able to do all those events and I'm able to control that experience for you at the end of the day. That's where the AI intersection happens and I'm able to scale for you much better. I'm providing that experience because when things work in travel, no one cares. It's only when things don't work and you want someone, get me out of here now. Who's going to do that for you? Who's going to do that seamlessly for you?
Sarosh, I just had an idea. I mean, I could just see the experience varies so much when I'm traveling for business. Sometimes I show up to the airport 2 hours early on a kind of a non-international flight, and I have more than enough time. I end up sitting on my hand doing nothing, and I have to go and work or drink. Other times I get there 2 hours early, and I might not make it. How amazing would it be if it asked me a few questions, right? Where are you flying to? Do you have clear or some kind of, way that you surpass the security line faster? No, you don't. Okay, you need to get here at 3 hours early because of these Google I/O conference. Las Vegas airport is 200% busier than normal. Leave your home at 3 p.m. early or 3 hours early. Simple stuff like that would make the traveler's journey so much easier. I've almost missed flights almost every time I travel. I mean, it's a mess.
I know I completely hear you, and I keep telling our product and engineering teams, this is one of the strangest experiences. You're at an airport, and have you noticed we are always staring up at a screen, where to go?
Yeah.
I'm like, I have the phone in my hand. Why is it not telling me which gate is empty? It's 15 minutes to the lounge. Boarding has started. Walk from the lounge now back to my gate to check in. Yeah. When I land at a transit airport, tells me my bag's already checked in. Or when I've arrived at Heathrow, I'm even doing immigration, tells me carousel number 5 is where your bags are. Your driver is waiting for you. Why am I looking aimlessly at an airport everywhere?
Yeah.
My eyes are hovering everywhere. Just this all can be in the palm of my hands. That is the experience we are fighting for.
Great.
That is what we want to create.
I'll fight with you. Sarosh, we talked a little bit about the 0 to 1 problem, which it seems like you solved quite well. Let's talk a little bit about the 1 to 10 problem, the scaling challenges. you mentioned you've experienced significant growth, and funding and all that. Share some of your insights on how you managed the scaling challenges, because that seems very important.
And I don't know if I have a magic answer. We're still trying to learn. I think scaling is hard for anybody at any size. Meta probably has different problems than most young startups, but I think the important thing about scaling for us is how do you stay true to your values and principles? How do you commit to doing what you said you would do? And I think that is the big thing, is as you start getting success early on, how do you not bite off more than you can chew? And I think the big thing with technology is, how do you not get greedy? How do you not start thinking you can build everything? And I think being a platform company is very, very, you have to make some very hard decisions, that even if there is revenue to be earned, you have to understand you can only be a platform company and build for long term if you allow other people to make money off you. If you are interested in building everything, you won't give the opportunity for innovation to happen. So those are those hard decisions, which cause those in turn affect scaling, right? Where are you going to invest your time and your resources on? And I think that has been the biggest learning for us, is how do we make sure that we invest correctly in the right initiatives that will continue to drive the platform story more than anything else.
Sarosh, to your example, if you look back in history, I don't know if you're a history buff, but most wars were lost because the crazy countries that wanted to win these wars would fight wars in multiple fronts, and it would weaken them, right? It almost sounds like a lesson learned there is focus on what you can control, do a great job in those one or two pieces. Don't try to be too many things to too many people. Does that summarize what you said well?
I think that you go back to history, I like to say, those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. Exactly. And it's very well said, because I think you say something, you do it well, then you have the ability to ask for permission to do more. And that's just the law of life, I feel.
Yeah.
You do well, people trust you, they let you build more. And I think that's the only way to scale.
Sarosh, as a leader in a tech-driven company, how do you balance the need for innovation? How do you foster a culture of innovation while keeping your eyes on the prize, right? Because there's things that we got to get done today that drive us revenue that the customers are asking for, whether it's a feature, a bug fix, or something. At the same time, you got to look ahead, right? How do you balance those two?
We use the word ruthless prioritization. I think this making tough choices, honestly, holding yourself accountable and holding your team accountable as well. Learning to say no a lot of times, but being very transparent with the no. I think that's the part. Saying no is easy and dismissing people off. But when you do that, the culture gets affected. But making people understand your vision, tying it back into your long-term goals and your immediate priorities, connecting them back to the long term. When you keep repeating that again and again and again and again, people seem to understand, and they will understand why you're making tough calls today. Not today, maybe tomorrow, but not today because of X, Y, and Z. Being able to articulate that is on our shoulders to do as leaders within these organizations. Because at the end of the day, what are you doing? You're carrying people across, right? And if you can't do that, then you fail. And making people the ability to see that, because then they can build on top of your vision. They understand why they can't do it now. Then it becomes less personal, because people have some amazing ideas and you're only as good as your team. So the ability to carry that and the ability to scale that is what is so important at the end of the day.
I like it. What's the vision for Spotnana? What's next?
I think right now is just focus on building this platform this year, scale some of these large customers. These are some blue chip brands that everyone in the world knows us. Bringing them to life this year will be the single biggest thing that we are focused on. It's like, this is promise being made. We're grateful to these customers and partners, because we are some of the Fortune 20 companies of the world that literally have risked their careers, some of the folks within these companies, to bet on a startup. We have a lot of responsibility, and I feel my goal at the end of the day is how do we deliver on the promise we made to them. Bringing that to life this year is the single biggest goal for us.
Nice. I love it. Let's talk about team building a little bit. I wish you knew us back in 2020, because you wouldn't have this issue. But one of the stories you told me on a personal level is that, man, not only did you have the shutdown because no one was traveling, not shut down, but like the industry shut down, not you. But imagine trying to hire the best engineer, especially in the Bay Area, in a time where people just didn't believe travel was going to make it, right? How did you, we're a tech consulting recruiting firm. Believe me, we would have handled that storytelling for you at the time, but we didn't know each other. How did you deal with that? Because that's challenging, man. Like, I mean, we literally would have people, we represented some other travel agencies, cruise lines and airlines, and people were just, they had a tough time. You'd have to tell a long-term story for them to even listen, because they were so in the right now. The right now was no one's traveling. Why would I work for a company that has a product that no one's using,
No, I completely agree with you. I think our roots, my roots are from India. So I think we managed to hire people in India, and that's what it was hard in India too, because people wondered, people are asking us, will travel ever come back? And it was hard, and did it through networks, etc. And we're very fortunate that that engineering team is still with us, and we grew out of Bangalore, grew out of Bay Area over time, and you do the best that you can. Honestly, it's just just being relentless. Honestly, now when I look back on it. Yes, it was hard even back then. I think it's hard even now. It's just different because you have a little bit more scale now. It's easier to attract talent. You have a lot more help. Back then, it's there's no HR team, nothing. You're just helping with the product, helping with hiring, helping with the recruiting, searching on LinkedIn. You're doing it all, and that's part of the journey. So I think all we did was selling them on the vision. The vision was so grand that we can revolutionize travel. One of those industries in the world that connects every human being. It's easy to talk about. But at that time, it was hard to talk about. And, history will tell you that every time something gets decimated, it only comes back to become bigger.
Yes.
And, history is such a telling thing about life if you learn to connect those dots. And travel has been decimated time and time again. 9/11, 2008, the crisis. Just every time travel gets shut down, it only comes back to become bigger. And, we stuck with just some anecdotes and stories of what's happened in this industry over time that you can't stop us from traveling. That's not good.
It's all temporary. The struggle is real, but it's temporary. I think that's important for our folks dealing with any challenge. Is that's all it is. Whether it's business, whether it's personal, it's a great quote I heard from a friend. I don't know where he got it from. Maybe it was Winston Churchill, but is when you're in hell, keep going. It's a very interesting thing. It's you have no choice. You either give up and die or you just keep walking, So I think you guys probably did a little bit of that. Take us away for this last question. What do you see being the future of travel? Because you've seen several iterations and changes and challenges and the scales. What's next in the next 5 years or so with the travel industry?
I mean, everyone talks of AI playing a role. We definitely see that happen. It'll just change your experience on the support side. Make it a lot more easier. I'm not sure if we'll ever get to the Amazon level of support of refunding, canceling tickets. Imagine San Francisco, New York, you and I can book all 7 flights a day and decide to hop onto any one of them, and the remaining 6 that we booked automatically get refunded. I'm not sure if that will happen, but something close to that where you have the support and service to easily do all those things without having to think of credits and all of that. I think the user experience is going to change. And I think one of the big challenges in the travel ecosystem is going to be on the distribution side of things, prices, content. Everyone's not getting everything that they need, and people will continue to search and look for that. And whoever is able to create that Amazon-like experience of all the inventory is where trust will be created. And if you're able to do that, you'll always win in the long term. Putting users and customers first will always help you win at the end of the day. Because once you build trust in travel, will people paying for it? And I think that is going to be, where I see travel heading in the future.
You've got to create value before you could capture value, Sarosh. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
Yes.
On a silly note, at what point in time with robotics and computer vision growing rapidly, at what time will my what's it called, flight attendants and the pilot be a robot?
I hope never.
Yeah.
And I believe there are some things of old school that I still value. I believe there is a place for all of this, but at least in the human face of it, I would hope never. I as much as I love technology and want to automate things, I think there's some human element of flying. There is something about sitting next to someone And
we have driverless Ubers now.
well, I understand that. I understand driverless Ubers, Waymo, and all these companies are doing an amazing job. But it's very, at that moment, it's a point A to point B. There's something else when someone comes and just greets you with a smile. Sometimes a smile can say 1,000 words.
Agreed.
You could be in any mood at that point of time, and just someone makes you feel warm. And you know when it's real and when it's put on. And you don't want to have that at the back of your mind. And I feel like just the travel industry has just changed the world for so much. And I think some things I hope they don't change.
Nice. Sarosh, take us away. How do people find you? How do they find Spotnana? What's next? Talk to our audience.
I think, reflecting back on this journey, I think we learned so much about, you learn so much about yourself, right? Because everything is not always easy. And I think some of the things that I've learned is, in life, I think two things will define you. Your patience when you have nothing, and your attitude when you have everything. I think that is what stands us in good stead. And I think having your values and principles and how you lead your company by that is something that will stand you in good stead. Even during the tough times when you think that nothing seems to work, because there are many days that feel like that. But I have to remind myself that this is a marathon and not a sprint. It's 20 plus years and I'm still here. And I keep telling myself, if it takes 20 more to build the next Amazon or Meta, I'm going to do that. And I think at the end of the day, I'm grateful that I've been given a shot. We have some of the world's best investors, best companies, best partners, and we just have an amazing team that believes in this vision more than anything else, that is inspired, that we want to make this happen. And I think I could not be more grateful than that.
Amazing. Sarosh, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully you had a good time, and thank you for your awesome openness and telling us your awesome story, man. I hope to see you as a $1 billion unicorn one day, and I'll fly out to New York to celebrate with you when the time comes.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak with your audience.
See you, brother. And that brings us to the end of another great episode of the Tech Leaders Playbook. I want to thank you for joining us, and I hope you took away some valuable insights to apply in your professional journey. Don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform so you don't miss out on the next great conversation. I promise it'll be good. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate if you could leave us a review. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but it also helps others discover the podcast. Better leaders mean better working environments. Better working environments leads to happier people. Remember, a rising tide lifts all boats. I'm Avita Santoblian, and this has been the Tech Leaders Playbook. Keep leading, keep learning, keep giving, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, stay inspired, my friends.